And then there's money, if everyone stopped paying their income tax, no wars in Iraq or Afghanistan, Libya, of tax. But then they realised that they could use this tax to enforce people to control each other, like the way the police dictate to you what to do, local authorities dictate to you what to do. You have no freedom anymore. So the money is not being spent what it should be spent on. It should be spent on building the roads, clearing the rubbish. That was what the original idea was. That's why our grandfathers agreed to these concepts and terms. And everybody believed we'd be getting these services, but we don't anymore as such.
Let's say someone gets arrested, and what's the best thing to say so that they're set free?
Right, the first thing to do, if you're stopped by a police officer, even under their laws, the only details that you have to give is a name and a contactable address. That's it. So anything else they ask you, you do not have to answer. If they arrest you, that's an unlawful arrest, and you can prosecute them for that and take them to court. And what you do, if you are arrested and you go to a police station, the worst thing you can say on a tape recorder is no comment. Because solicitors always say no comment. But the tape recorder is the only friend you have in that police station, because it's recording what you say. Now, what I would say, if I was arrested and put before a tape recorder, firstly I would say I'm under duress, because you are under duress, you're in a police station against your will. Secondly, you say you cannot answer any questions until you have seen all the evidence against you. And when they ask you for the name on the tape, you don't give your name, because the moment you give your name, then they got you. It's a trap, a legalese trap. So you say, I am such and such of the family surname. So I would say, I'm Carl of the Acton family surname. Can you identify me, please? And that's important. You've got to get them to identify you. So if they identify you of Carl of the Acton family surname, then they can't process you through the system. Unless it's a common law crime, like you hit somebody or stolen something, then that's a common law crime, they can process you. But they can't process you for any other event. It's that simple.
How did you come to learn of this?
Well, a lot of it was life experience. I began to wonder how to be free, because I was sick and tired of being stopped and searched, especially as a teenager. 20 years ago, it was a regular thing. If you're young, you just get stopped and harassed by police, and it's a terrible thing. So I started to look for other people that were thinking about being free, and there was a lot of groups and organisations that I met, and the internet is a wonderful tool for that. In the last 5 years I've become so free because of the internet. I just researched ways around it, and I found the people that understood law, who understood common law, and the only law in existence is common law today. All these other laws are fake, all of them, completely fake, but people don't know it. Even the police themselves don't know it. When some of the high-level police, they do. The high-level judges as well, they do too. But lawyers, they don't know it either. None of them know it at all.
So this website that you've actually mentioned, does it explain everything?
It explains everything perfectly, even a lot more than what I've said. It will give you lists of governments, even Labour and Conservative, they're limited companies. Labour Party is called Alistair Darling MP Limited. They're actually a limited company, not a government public body. And the justice system is too. It's all of these systems, even the local councils, the Ealing Council is Ealing Council Limited. You've got the City of London, which is a corporate City of London. These are companies that are designed to take your money from you, and keep you enslaved. And this is what's happening.
I thought it's great not to pay income tax. I love that. But do you not think that if everybody knew about this and everybody did it, we might descend into sort of anarchy?
It wouldn't be anarchy as such. I mean, anarchy and anarchism are two different things. Anarchism is the only thing that will work on the human race, because anarchism in its true form is everybody doing exactly what they want, but under common law. So effectively, you could do anything. If you want to turn left, you turn left. If you want to turn right, you turn right. If you want to be in one group, you can be in that group. If you don't like that group, you're free to go to another group without any animosity. You're free, you're completely free, you do what you want, you don't control anybody. No one has the right to control another person unless there's certain circumstances. For example, if someone's in your house or on your property, you have a right to say, come on, don't do this, this is my property, my land. That's your right, your natural right. Things like if someone attacks you, again, you've got the right to stop that as self-defense. And basic common things, you have the right to control people, but other than that, nobody has the right to say to somebody, you can't speed in your car, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's down to the individual, it's free choice.
Yeah, I just have a question. It's like, if you don't use your name that's on your birth certificate, then how could you ever sort of own anything? Because you have to put your name down to buy a car, a house, national insurance number.
That's the thing actually. On the website, yourstrawman.com, it actually explains you can actually get your house for free once you've actually got into a mortgage. You can make one payment, and you don't have to make any more payments. And they explain how to do it on the website. Because basically, what's happened is the banking is another scam. They've lent money that does not exist. None of it exists. It's just a computer, and someone types in a figure on a screen, and it's not real. The money never existed. I think it was 1972 in the collapse of Bretton Woods that the banks stopped having gold as its reserves. Then they went to just figures typed on a screen. It's a fake valuation, so the money does not exist. So if you write to the bank and you say, I want a copy of the accounts to show this money exists, they can't then do it. And if they can't show you that they've lent you the money, you don't have to pay it back because it's non-existent money. Serious. It's a bit more complex. You've got to send a few letters back and forth, but it tells you how to do it on the website. So it's very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next talk is by Binara, and the title is My Experience with Dhamma.
I can really compete with that last time. So thank you, Venerable Sasara, for having me. It's a privilege to be able to talk to you about my experience with the Dhamma. When I sat down a few months ago to think about actually what the Dhamma meant to me, I didn't really know where to begin, to be honest with you. It's like most of us here, I've been coming to these classes for about a year and a half, maybe something like that. And I've tried to take away from each session a little bit of positive, trying to change my life and try to practice what I've learned, really. But sort of recently I started questioning myself, am I a good Buddhist? What is a good Buddhist? How do you practice the Dhamma to become a better Buddhist? And most of all, am I practicing the Dhamma to become a better Buddhist? And it sort of became apparent to me what I already knew deep down inside, that I was a Buddhist by, I guess, birth, but not always by practice. So this is me. This is through my wonder years, actually wondering what the Dhamma was about. But I knew I thought to myself, well, is it because I didn't attend Dhamma school as a child, or is it because I was not exposed to it at an early age? But then I thought to myself, surely I can't really be the only one. I can't be the only one in their mid-20s, completely unsure about the Dhamma and whether I'm a good Buddhist or not. So, I mean, for me and a lot of us here, we attend the temple on sort of birthdays, anniversaries, and when you have an exam the next day. I know I'm guilty of this, and I know a lot of you guys are as well. But never really bothered to make a significant change and a significant investment in the teachings. But then I thought to myself, about the simple everyday things that I actually do, the steps that I've taken over the last 27 years to make myself a better person. Now, I don't claim to follow every rule, far from it, but I try to do the bits that I can to make myself a better Buddhist, and to follow the Dhamma. And the thing I find with Buddhism is it's more of a philosophy and not a set of rules. So you really have the freedom and the choice to make your own choices, choose your own path. And I think that's what's really important to understand is that you can actually, in your daily life, incorporate the Dhamma and become a better Buddhist. And that's what sort of, that's what sort of, for me, that's what's the sort of the best things about Buddhism, is that you really unknowingly follow the Dhamma and sort of follow the Buddhism. I won't go into sort of the rules of the Sila very much, but like most of us here, I don't kill, I don't steal, and I try not to lie. This is an earlier picture of me trying to tell my supervisor that I've done the work that she's asked. But most of the time, I try not to sort of deviate from this too much. I strongly believe, though, that we practice the Dhamma in our day-to-day lives and wherever we really go. An example of this was recently, a few of us went to Brazil. This is us in Brazil, Isha, me, and Andrew. Went to Brazil, and Brazil, as you know, is sort of the carnival capital of the world. It's the biggest Catholic population in the world, when only 0.05% of the population are registered as Buddhists. So you might ask me, why have I picked this example? It's probably the least number of Buddhists in the world, in a country. But I thought you can, if you actually look, find Buddhism and the Dhamma in everything and in everywhere. So what could I possibly tell you about my experience there? I mentioned this before to a few of you at the last talk, but we didn't actually see any viharas or temples or anything of that sort, that you traditionally associate with Buddhism. In fact, it was quite the opposite. We saw quite a lot of Catholicism being practiced, and it was very, very strong in Brazil. And I thought to myself, it would be great if us as Buddhists could also, I guess, embrace our religion in the same way, and make it a part of our daily lives. But then I thought about again, how is it practiced every day? What can I see in these people that, for me represents the Dhamma? And I sort of brings me back to sort of the philosophy of Buddhism, and it's practiced by billions of people every day. And so just getting off the plane in Brazil, in Rio, we were really well welcomed by everybody there. I mean, people were very, very friendly. People were happy to see us. They didn't care what color we are, sort of, race, religion. It was irrelevant to them. They took us for face value and who we were as people. I mean, we didn't speak a word of Portuguese, but that didn't really seem to matter to these people. Everyone was very friendly. And I sort of saw, as Buddhists, we are taught to accept people indiscriminately, regardless of age, religion, or whatever. And you really see this. Brazil really encapsulates this ethos that I think of when I think of the Dhamma. I think you see the young taking care of the old. You see white kids, black kids, all playing together in the street. They don't have very much, but they're very happy and they're content. And sort of, this brings me to sort of the other thing I thought about, the middle path. And Lord Buddha actually sort of mentioned that we should try and follow the middle path. And in Brazil, there's a huge disparity between the rich and the poor. The overwhelming majority of people are somewhere in the middle, and they don't have too much, but they're happy. And I thought to myself, if we as people could be content with what we have, we would be incorporating and living by the Dhamma and becoming better Buddhists in return. And I want to tell you a story about my experiences, and I mentioned this story before. It's my mouse story. If you've already heard it before, I apologize, but I'm not going to tell it again, whether you'd like to hear it or not, sorry. But it really, for me, really brings the Dhamma home, and it really sort of helps me understand that I practice it, and I think most of you practice it without actually knowing it. So a few months ago, actually probably over a year ago now, but I was in the shed before I went to work, and we had a bit of a rodent problem in our shed. So we had put down these little sticky, I don't know if you've seen them, these sticky little like pads. And I went in the morning, I don't know what for, but I saw a little mouse actually stuck to one of these pieces of paper. So I thought, rather than feeling joyful that we caught one, I was actually quite upset. I saw the mouse, and it didn't seem like it seemed like it was suffering. It seemed like it really wasn't, doing too well. You could see it breathing. It's sort of given up on life. So I thought, okay, what can I do about this? I really want to take care of this, but I've also got to go to work. So I thought, debated about it for 5 minutes, but I thought, no, my boss will kill me if I'm late for work. I can't deal with this now. So I went to work. But I couldn't concentrate, so on the tube I was thinking about this mouse. And I was at work talking to my clients, and I could not get this mouse out of my head. So I think it was a Thursday or Friday, and usually people go out for drinks and everything, but I decided to come back home, so I was praying that this mouse hadn't died, because if it had, it would be even worse for me. Yeah. So I came home, and sure enough, luckily this mouse had got even worse, but it was still alive. So I thought, I have to do something about this. And I took it to the garden, and spent about 15 minutes pouring oil all over this mouse, trying to get it off. And eventually, it came off, and I thought, that's fine, I've done my bit now, I can go back in the house. Then I thought to myself, I was walking back to the garden, from the garden into the house, and I thought, well, you know, it's covered in oil, it could easily be eaten by a bird. So I thought, oh God, now I've got to go back again, and I've got to take care of this mouse. So I went back to the mouse, and I, covered it up and made sure that, no predators could get to it. And I was walking back, and I thought to myself, you don't have to make an active, when you wake up in the morning, you don't have to make an active sort of, effort to practice the Dhamma. For most of us, it comes naturally. It's just identifying what you're doing and trying to make yourself better. And for me, it really I really realized that in my daily life, in most of the things that I do, I try to incorporate the Dhamma. Another sort of example for me was, I was at a sort of inroads in my career.
Okay, this is 1, 2. This is the last talk before lunch. It's by Amile and Rushika, and the title is Celebrities in Buddhism.
This is my brother Amile and and we're briefly going to talk about Buddhism in today's world and how it spread to the West and influenced a lot of people, especially celebrities. So, in today's world, you could say that Buddhism has, as you said, there's a massive shift. Not only because it seems to be the cool one with no rules, but meditation and calming the mind has really become attractive to our hectic lives. Among celebrities, being a Buddhist in Hollywood is seen as an instant image booster. So we're going to talk about a couple of celebrities that you might have heard of already. First one is Steven Seagal. He's an American actor, movie producer, writer, martial artist, guitarist, and a deputy sheriff. So he was recognized in February 1997 as the reincarnation of Tulku, the treasurer revealer of the treasurer revealer Chungdrag Dorjai, by his Penor teacher, Penor Rinpoche.
Referring to the words of Penor Rinpoche, traditionally a Tulku is considered to be a reincarnation of a Buddhist master who, out of his or her compassion for the suffering of sentient beings, has vowed to take rebirth to help all beings attain enlightenment. To fulfill this aspiration, a Tulku will generally need to go through the complete process of recognition, enthronement and training. Formal recognition generally occurs soon after a Tulku has been identified, but only after the other important lineage masters have been consulted. The newly identified Tulku does not take on any formal responsibility at the time of recognition.
So there was some confusion and controversy as to why he was thus named a reincarnation, and some have claimed that he bought his way into Buddhahood, but one of his teachers felt the need to write a clarification, saying things such as, even though he's a controversial man, especially because of the rumours going around him, he still managed to sort of donate to charity really well and has done a lot of ethical work, especially for the PETA, the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. He's discouraged against the fur trade and written to the Prime Minister of India to seek legal protection for cows. He's worked towards saving dogs who were destined to drown in Taiwan. And in 1999, he was awarded a PETA award, humanitarian award. Outside of his film work, he's volunteered, lending his voice as a narrator for activist film projects, the Medicine Lake video, and seek to protect sacred tribal ground near his ranch in Siskiyou County.
Another Buddhist you wouldn't have guessed would be Tina Turner. She converted to Buddhism after possibly a suicide attempt of taking too many sleeping pills because of her relationship problems, and she actually practices a branch of Buddhism called Nichiren Buddhism, which is a branch of Mahayana, and she's part of this. It's a society called the Soka Gakkai International, and they follow the teachings of the Japanese Buddhist master Nichiren, and they actually have a special chant which goes Nam-myo Renge Kyo, which is the Lotus Sutra, a sutra which is chanted regularly as a means of improving health, happiness, wisdom, compassion, and it is in order to attain enlightenment. And the SGI is actually quite popular among quite a few celebrities. Another being Orlando Bloom, who is also became part of the society, and as he puts it, for him, Buddhism is a way of life, a tool to cope with life's problems and how to sort out its suffering.
Here's what he said about his practice. The philosophy that I've embraced isn't about sitting under a tree and studying my navel. It's about studying what is going on in my daily life and using it as a fuel to go and live a bigger life. When your girlfriend dumps you, when the bill comes through the door and your mom calls and tells you she can't handle the stuff in her life, that's hell. But that's just one world. If you're aware of what's going on, then you can grow it and use that hunger and that fear. Richard Gere, a very, very big Buddhist. He was raised by Methodist parents, and his interest in Buddhism began when he travelled to Nepal in 1978 with the Brazilian painter Sylvia Martins. He's a practicing Buddhist and a very big active supporter of the Dalai Lama, as well as being involved in other Eastern politics.
You have ultimate responsibility for your experience. What you experience, who you are, it's your responsibility. There's no one else who's going to fix it for you.
Richard Gere has been on a spiritual journey for the past 30 years. Alongside his Hollywood film career, he is a committed Buddhist. In this film, he explains his Buddhist faith. He shows how a man in the most public and glamorous profession of all lives by the disciplines of one of the most personally demanding of religions.
You be young and happy, and beautiful, right? And rich, and whatever. But if you put the mirror up to your life, you say, it's not true. That's not the way it is. Now, it doesn't make me depressed. It actually makes me smile in a way because you recognize the truth of it. You go, yeah. You have ultimate responsibility for your experience. There's no one else who's going to fix it for you. There's no creator God who's going to come down and make everything all right. There's no one else to plead to. You got to do the work on your mind. When you change your mind, you change. When you change your mind, the universe changes. But you're the only one who can do it. You have help. Wonderful teachers. They're the teachings of the Buddha. They're the teachings of Jesus Christ. The teachings of Muhammad. But you got to do the work. You are responsible. Which is very Western, is it not? You want to be a millionaire? You want to be a billionaire? You got to do the work. You want to learn to play the piano? You got to do the work. Very Western.
So as you can see, he pretty much explains Buddhism very well, and there's loads of videos on there about the work that he's done. Steve Jobs, we all know he just died, but surprisingly he too was a Buddhist, and you could look at his company and say they have a very Zen-like attitude towards design with its very pure, simple and minimalistic approach. But that could be related to the fact that he was actually a follower of the Buddha.
And it all started for Jobs in 1974 when he was 21. He got a sabbatical from his employer Atari, and on that he went to India and he spent a month visiting gurus and looking for some answers, but he came back not really satisfied with what he found. And for some reason he decided that Thomas Edison had done more for mankind than a lot of gurus and other philosophers had done. But when he did come back, he visited the Los Altos Zen Center in Los Altos, California, and he practiced primal scream therapy. And funnily enough, his favorite food at the time was an apple. And it's in Los Altos where he met his new teacher, Koben Chino, who would later preside at his wedding. And Koben Chino was a Soto Zen monk who trained in Japan. It was rumored that Jobs continued to practice Zen and to be a vegan. He quoted from Zen masters and philosophy during his speeches, as when he spoke of the beginner's mind in an interview with Wired magazine. He could have been really sincere in his spiritual path on a personal level, but his company seems to stray more and more from the dhamma, if only by creating attachment and craving.
Other celebrities who are also Buddhists, despite allegations, Tiger Woods happens to be one. John Cleese from Fawlty Towers, he's one. Goldie Hawn and her previous husband Kurt Russell were also Buddhist. Uma Thurman, Angelina Jolie, she's quite interesting. One of her adopted sons, a Cambodian son called Madot, she's learning Buddhism so she can teach him about his origins. And the tattoo she has on her shoulder, a translation of that is, "May your enemies run far away from you. If you acquire riches, may they always remain yours. Your beauty will be that of Apsara. Wherever you may go, many will attend and serve and protect you, surrounding you on all sides." That's the tattoo she got inscripted for that one. And Jennifer Lopez, through She Became a Buddhist by having met Richard Gere through a movie, Shall We Dance, and converted to Buddhism as well.
Thanks.
Hello everybody. Hope you had a nice lunch.